My name's Alison Beckett and I'm with a Publicity and Information Officer for Cheshire Harbour Conservancy. Back in 2004 came across an article in the Cheshire Observer, and it was about an old oyster boat that was basically looking for a new owner. The current owners were giving it up as a project and wanted somebody else to take it on. Just jokingly, I passed it across to a colleague of mine, Robert Perry, who was working with the Conservancy putting together a large bid for the Heritage Lottery Fund. Robert absolutely loved the story and immediately went off, had a chat with John Davis, who with his Emsworth connections again just thought, oh yeah, brilliant, this is really something we could do. Went to have a look at the boat. It was an absolute wreck. It was in a greenhouse up at Westbourne. It was all dried out, falling apart, just cracking up and everything. But they just saw this as a real part of Emsworth history that needed to be maintained and looked after. So as part of our lottery fund, we managed to get enough cash together to help us to get the boat restored, and she was brought over here to Dolphin Quay Boatyard, and Tim and his guys there worked on her for a couple of years and brought it back into just amazing condition. And during those 2 years we had some open days so the local community could become a part of the project as well, which was great. Loads of people used to turn up at the boatyard, have a good look around, have a chat with the shipwrights and find out everything that was going on. And because of that we found out lots of history about Terra as well, so people would bring in their old stories and photographs and memories of when they'd been on her as a pleasure trip, or sort of grandparents had sailed on her, that kind of thing. So it was really nice. And then it was 8th of September 2006 was the grand launch day, and back then they used to do the food festival in Emsworth, so all the streets were lined with these stalls all full of lovely foods and wines and things. And because of Emsworth's connection with that whole food industry, the oyster industry, we decided that would be a really good place to launch her. So on the Friday at lunchtime we had just literally thousands of people lining the quay. It was a really nice day. Just people absolutely everywhere turned out to come and watch this boat. The Dean of Winchester very kindly came along and did a speech for us. And his connection with it was that back in 1902, his predecessor had been at a banquet and he'd eaten oysters from Emsworth, which were a real delicacy. And unfortunately, him and some of the other guests had contracted typhoid and died a few days later. And so what happened was they traced the typhoid to the oysters, and almost overnight the Emsworth oyster industry crashed, and that was why Terra had just been passed from pillar to post from then on. So the Dean very kindly and very bravely ate an oyster in front of the audience and launched the boat for us, and she was all dressed up overall, all the flags all over her. The crew from Dolphin Quay Boatyard were on board, and it was just a beautiful day. And then she sailed away down the channel and everyone could see her back in her restored glory.